Can we go ahead and do the roll call, please?
Sure. We'll start with Emil Desai.
Aye.
Bill Stevens. Dr. Bob Hewlett.
Here.
Dr. Shaw.
Yeah.
Dr. Jose Ferrer.
Present.
Dr. Stephanie Rodriguez. Here. Honorable Peter Espinoza. Jean McPatton. Here. Jesse Urquidi. John Hackley. John Hackledge. June R. Yado. Marina Pacheco.
Present.
Marissa Perez. Present. Nazin Nabufi. Nazi Nikia.
Here.
Caramel Shaw.
Yes.
Salam Iqbal. Tom Jackson.
Here.
Sir Lewis.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Carol, do we have any agenda or reorganization? Wonderful. All right. Best part of the day, inspirational message by Dr. Stephanie Rodriguez.
Okay, well, this is by a quote from Mahatma Gandhi. Keep your thoughts positive because your thoughts become your words. Keep your words positive because your words become your behavior. Keep your behavior positive because your behavior becomes your habits. Keep your habits positive because your habits become your values. Keep your values positive because your values become your destiny.
Great message. Wonderful work. Thank you so much, Dr. Rodriguez. Do we have any correspondence to share with the board? Wonderful. Easy meeting today. All right, any public comments from anybody out there? All right, wonderful. All right, can we get a motion for consideration of resolution for remote attendance and meetings pursuant to AB 361? So
Second.
I can get a vote.
So just to explain again, since we have people on Zoom, we will be doing the roll.
Member Desai.
Yes.
Bill Dr. Shaw.
As I was not in the meeting last time, I was not an official member, I cannot vote, right? So.
I think you were. Yes. Yeah, so this at every meeting, then we'll bring this
Now I
resolution.
become official member.
Yes, you are.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
Dr. Fiera.
Yes.
Dr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Jean McPatton.
Yes.
Pacheco, member Pacheco.
Yes.
Marissa Perez.
Yes.
Vikia.
Yeah.
And Tom Jackson.
Yes. Bob Hewlett votes yes too.
Thank you, Bob. All right, motion passed. Can we get a motion for approval of minutes of June 23rd meeting?
So move.
All right, can we get a vote? Please?
Member Desai.
Yes.
Shaw, Dr. Shaw,
Yes.
Dr. Fiera,
Yes.
Dr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
member Pacheco. Member Pacheco. Member Perez.
Abstain.
Abstain. I wasn't present.
Chairperson Vikia,
Yes.
Caramel Shaw, member Caramel Shaw,
Yes.
and Tom Jackson.
Yes. Bob Hewlett votes yes too.
Oh, sorry. Fine. You're
Might
very-
check your list.
You're on the special list. Yeah, in the back, I don't think we have. Okay. So we will just. Yeah, well, we'll have to bring it up in the second meeting. All right, we didn't have enough votes, so we'll bring it up for the second meeting. Okay. Next, we have Dr. Fierro, our Executive Director of the College President Report.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Good morning, everyone. I have a quick report with a lot of great news. So obviously, some of you participated on the graduation ceremony. And during the graduation ceremony, usually I say how many degrees and certificates we confer. And I said there was a little under 5,000. I think the number I said was 4,900 degrees and certificates, which was a little higher than the previous year. There was 4,600 degrees and certificates. But when we finished doing all the paperwork, we found out a couple of weeks ago that we awarded 5,167 degrees and certificates this past May, which is actually the highest number of degree and certificates that we have ever awarded. So our previous record was on the 2019-2020 academic year, we awarded 5,078. So we managed during the pandemic to work closer with our students, or faculty, staff, administrators, and maintain engage with the students, and locally enough, we were able to set another milestone. This is very important in different aspects. One of those obviously being the economic impact in our communities. As we all know, most of our students stay local, so the better prepared they are, the higher the chances for them to have higher paying jobs and obviously contribute in a positive way to our local and regional economy. Second part of that is to do with our financial position. Obviously, the pandemic was hard across different fields, and it was hard, obviously, in the beginning for our college as well. But based on our academic achievements, we were able to kind of balance our budget, as you know, or may not know. The state allocation has changed a little bit. So now there are three different components of how we get funded through the state. One of those being enrollment. And all colleges across the state have experienced low enrollment. Because we have done well academically, we were able to close some of the financial gaps that we experienced with the decrease of enrollment by having other students perform better, which has positioned the college very well financially. I was going to report this next week during our board meeting. For the first time in a very, very long time, our ratio of salary and benefits across the campus is at 88%. We have been for a very long time above the 90 percentile, but we have been able to rebalance the budget. So now our salary benefits are only 88% of the total amount of our expenses. And that has been obviously one, to the pandemic, two, maintaining very competitive salaries for faculty, staff, and administrators. And what we're trying to do with this is position the college as well as we can for the next 3 to 4 years, which, as we know, is where we expect the financial impact of the pandemic to hit all sectors. This next year, obviously, seems to think are going well enough. The concern is not this next year, But as I said before, the financial impacts in the second, third, and fourth year after 2023. So the college is in a financial position, a good financial position. For the students are doing well. Students are returning to campus. The first week of school was a ginormous mess everywhere, which is what we wanted to see. Parking lots were full, counseling office was that revolving door, day in and day out, and with about 60% of the students in campus and 40 online, or actual number prior to the pandemic was around 70%. I am not sure we're going to return that number. It seems the students are taking a mix of classes, and the expectation now is to have more flexible schedules to allow them to join the workplace. I don't know if it's still the truth, but a few weeks ago, the In-N-Out across the street was hiring at over $20 an hour, $21, $22, $23, signing bonuses. So it's hard to not be flexible and not and put the student to pick whether they work or they come to school. And I think they're speaking loudly across the state and saying, we want to go to work, so you have to be flexible with our schedules. So that's part of what we're doing. Our faculty, staff, and administrators have been doing a great job working with our students, not only in the classroom, but outside of the classroom. It was really, really nice to see everyone across campus walking the students to different areas of the campus. When they came out of the parking lot, they were kind of lost. Some of our students have never been in campus because of obviously the pandemic. Everyone, quite literally everyone, from our ground staff to I was out there and also walking the students to different places on campus. So that was really great to see, and big credit to again our faculty, staff, administrators for putting the extra effort to ensure the students feel welcome as we return to campus. Thank you very much.
Thanks for your report.
Any questions for Dr. Fierro?
I just wanted to add that, some of us live in the area, and so it was so nice to see that, like, the parking lot full and like almost normal again.
Yeah.
So that was good to see.
It will be normal well, once they start parking right in front of your house.
Yeah. Yeah, really.
I think about it.
Who stole Burnite Center?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Who stole Burnite Center?
That remains a mystery. We filed a police report. We got here one day and it was gone.
That's amazing.
What's the current enrollment?
For current enrollment, well, this is two pieces. So before the beginning of the semester, we reported the lowest enrollment that we have had. So I think it was 13,900 or something like that. Now we are par with 1 year from now. So 1 year ago we were at 1%. So we are right below the 15,000 mark again. And what we're hoping for is by the end of next year hit the 16,000 mark again. So we're seeing an uptick in enrollment. This is the first time that we have been able to show positive growth, 1%, but it's still positive. And from pre-pandemic, we have been able to recover 9 points. So we are at -10. We were at -19.
Are we all back to normal after the lightning strike?
Yes, that was the headlining, strike twice. It did strike twice. Cerritos College within minutes. So we had to close the campus. The interesting part was that in the old days, we had a problem with that and everyone went home and we stopped working. Once we had that issue and the power went down, everyone went home and the college continued to operate. And we didn't have to do anything. Like, we just went home and kept working. So it was an interesting change based on our new working conditions.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Dr. Fierro, and congratulations on all your success.
It's everyone's success.
We're very lucky to have you. All right, next we move to Carol for our executive director report.
All right, so picking up on some of the talk about enrollment, we're underway with our foundation fall scholarship cycle. We have several new scholarships this year. And we also have a scholarship coordinator for the first time in over a year. But there's such a huge difference that it's making in being able to do outreach with actual students on campus. But we're getting just a high volume of students stopping by and they want to talk to someone in person and they haven't been able to do that in a long time. So we're seeing the highest numbers so far that we've ever, seen in a couple of years at least for scholarship applications. That closes on September 30th. Keisha will be getting the word out to both the foundation board members about participating in review. And I think by my count, 9 board members have scholarships. Some are awarded in the spring, some both semesters. So we'll be talking more about that, but we're seeing a real surge of students, which makes us very happy too. In other news, or picking up on that, I wanted to highlight one new scholarship that I think I mentioned at the last meeting. We had an alumnus who lives in Oklahoma that Martha worked with to set up a scholarship called the Stuart Hayden Presidential Merit Scholarship. And it's a new scholarship for high achieving students that will cover all expenses, tuition, books, fees, parking, laptop, special meeting with the president and that sort of thing. So it'll be our highest ever scholarship that we've had. Applications are underway. Martha's been working with the admissions office to promote it. We'll be working with Scholars Honors and some others. So it's exciting for us. A lot of the other things that I could talk about are really covered elsewhere in the agenda. So just 2 other comments are, we're finally fully staffed as of about 2.5 months ago now. And it makes that in combination with people coming back to campus. It really makes a big difference, but there's still a training curve and a long time of, it's just been so great. We're doing a lot of stand-up meetings in the middle of our area, just so many things that are almost gelling, but not quite there yet in terms of the way that we can move forward and just coming together as a team. Crystal's been getting our bookkeeping caught up, but we were behind and some of that's reflected here that we're still trying to catch up. I did want to say, as you'll see, our investments have been up and down, and we'll talk about that more later in the meeting. We didn't have as good a year financially as what we've seen the last couple of years, and it's disappointing, a little frustrating. But I did, and we'll report on this. In the last 6 weeks, we brought in over $250,000, and that's hopefully the pace that we're on over the year in terms of income. And we'll talk about some of these projects today. Paramount's been super helpful in introducing new donors and bringing them to campus. And again, now that we can finally get back to doing in-person tours and have students around to show donors, that will make a big difference too. Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Carol. All right, next,
Sorry about that.
Could we get a new org chart, please?
Yes, excellent idea. Good contact information.
great idea, Bob. Thank you.
Is your staff here? I mean, so you said you have a new scholarship coordinator?
Yes, Keisha, who you met
Oh,
a couple of meetings ago. Sorry, Keisha wasn't able to attend this morning. Yeah. And other staff will talk as we get further in the meeting. We'll be talking.
Has everybody met Crystal?
Only on
That's your
Zoom.
second meeting.
Yes.
Second meeting.
All right. Glad to have you. All right, consideration for approval on the following items. Support for student participation in the MAACC conference honor band. Can we get a motion?
Move approval?
Started. Get a vote.
Member Design,
Yes.
Dr. Shaw,
Yes.
Dr. Fleur,
Yes.
Dr. Stephanie Rodriguez,
Yes.
Jean McCarthy,
Yes.
Marina Pacheco,
yes,
Marissa Perez,
Yes.
Natalie Hickman,
Yes.
Colonel Shaw,
Yes.
Tom Jackson,
Yes.
and Dr. Bob Stewart.
Yes.
All right, motion approved. Second, Hispanic Heritage Month speaker stipend.
Move approval?
Member Design,
Yes.
Dr. Jay Shaw,
Yes.
Dr. Joseph Fleur,
Yes.
Dr. Stephanie Rodriguez,
Yes.
Marina Pacheco,
Yes.
Marissa Perez. Yes. Alvin Gutierrez,
Yes.
Thermal Shaw,
Yes.
Tom Jackson,
Yes.
Hewitt,
Yes.
and Jean McCadden.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody. Next, informational discussion items. First one, Hollywood Foreign Press Association grant by Christian Brown, Mass Communication Department Chair.
Now, I've asked Martha to introduce.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for hearing us out. I'm sorry. Is this okay? Well, what we do in the foundation office, we can't do it alone. It really does take partnerships, especially in the area that I'm in. Working whether it's with the community members, working with different departments here on campus, in order for me to figure out where those gaps exist, so that we can go out and seek funding and resources. So that's primarily what I've been doing at the office. And as we continue to grow our grants side of the program, that's going to be more and more critical. That being said, there is a wonderful opportunity with the Hollywood Foreign Press Association to apply for funding for something here on campus. And so knowing that they are very keen on wanting to ensure that there's a pipeline of diverse voices in journalism, immediately I got connected with Christian. And so I'll let Christian talk about what we did in terms of the Hollywood Foreign Press proposal.
I might sit down at this heavenly hour in the morning, but thank you all for having me here. I appreciate you all and everything that you all do for our students. Martha, which I want to thank for coming to me with this proposal idea. She's been tremendous to work with and amazing. And I hope we have more projects in the future. But I've been liking COVID-19 to deluge on our students, on our institutions. It's been like a flood almost. And I've talked to my division, my team, my advisory board about the ships that I need to make it through this flood. I need internships, I need partnerships, I need sponsorships, and I need scholarships. Feel free to take that one. I need to.
Yeah, right.
Help us make it through the flood. And so I'm so excited about came to me with this because it's answering a lot of these needs that our students have, especially in the area of scholarships. And so as you mentioned, the Hollywood Foreign Press Association, diverse voices in journalism. They've been giving out money to increase the amount of minorities we see in the media. We're all aware of the media and some of the institutional problems that it has when it comes to representing diverse voices. And so they're trying to do something about it. So we secured this $20,000 grant, which is amazing. You know, most that I know our program has ever received for something like this. And that's $11,000 in fellowships. So that's going to range from $1,500 to $500 scholarships for our students. We're going to ask them to apply to submit some of their journalistic work, submit an essay where they let us know why they're in journalism, what they hope to do, and why they need the money. And we know that before the pandemic, our survey showed that over 50% of our students had some type of food or housing insecurity. So we only know that some of that has gotten worse for the students. So this will make a real difference in the lives of these journalism students. The other $7,000 is going to go towards creating a pathway between the high schools locally and here. So Pico Rivera, Norwalk La Mirada, Downey Unified ABC, Bellflower Unified. When I poll my students who are in journalism, ask where they come from. They're coming here from the local high schools. And we don't want to wait till they get here to start mentoring them. We can start doing that when they're freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors at the high school level. And so we're going to create a competition where we ask these local journalism high school programs to submit their work to us. And we'll have some of our own advisory board members to look at it and critique it, as well as hopefully we're hoping some of the professionals at the Hollywood Foreign Press Association will also critique their work. And give them a sense of pride in what they're doing already as high schoolers. So it's gonna be fantastic. And we're hoping, to create some dual enrollment programs as a result of this too, where we can start offering classes at the local high school where they can be enrolled as a student, even as a teenager. So just some great stuff here. Yeah, so let me see what else do I have here. So yeah, we know that diversity is needed, especially when it comes to leadership in newsrooms. And so that's really where my head is at, is that I know I'm grooming future leaders in journalism. The industry right now suffers from that. So just want to thank you all. Our students are resilient. Students in our pathway in journalism have 100% transfer rate. So in journalism, if there are students in journalism here, they're transferring, all of them do. And so this is only going to help them to do even better and have all of the money and the support that they need to be the best that they can be. And you can talk to Jason and others. We have a wide range of alumni who are doing really well in the journalism industry. And so this is just going to continue that legacy. So I just want to thank you all for your support.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Christian. Anybody have any questions for Christian? Bob?
Can you give us an overview on mass communications department? Obviously journalism, but
Yeah.
is that journalism or is there more to it?
Correct, it's a bit more, so it was the journalism department for a long time. Telemarks, the newspaper was established like the day after the college was established. So journalism's been on the campus as long as the campus existed. But yes, we have degrees, the AAT transfer degree in journalism, and then also a degree we just started in 2020, film, television, and electronic media. So it's kind of what the radio degree used to be. They kind of tweaked it a little bit at the state level. So it includes those two programs. So we have two AAT degrees. And we have strong transformation both.
Wonderful.
Of course. Any other questions?
All right.
I just have a comment. So I mean, I just want to first of all thank Martha and thank Christian for their work on this. And I just really appreciate the foundation working so closely with so many of our faculty members. Because I think we have found that when our faculty members are involved and engaged and really drive the programs, like we can be so successful. So I was super happy when I saw the press release and I knew that both of you were on top. But even before I read it, I'm like, oh, I know who brought this money in. And then sure enough, when I read it, I was just really pleased and excited. And I think, again, it's just opening up so many more opportunities for our students to succeed and to complete their degrees here. So again, I just wanted to thank everybody and thank all the faculty members who do so much of this work, really in all different divisions. And so just let's keep on doing more of it. So thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, moving on to fundraising activities. We have first the Peace Center. Grandma, you wanna take that one?
Yeah. We established the Peace Center. I think we raised almost $125,000. I think it wasn't easy, but I think Carol and Martha, we worked together so back and forth for a couple of months. But we have like 65 individual members who donated. So that's a new opportunity for us to approach them for, fundraising and all of their activities. Because they're showing interest and so many hasn't seen the campus. So we want to bring on the campus on October 1st. That's the first event. That's a major event for Peace Center. So that's I want to take that opportunity to bring in all the people who can see the beautiful campus. So we can raise more money from there. And Dr. Shah, one of also Peace Center, he helped us to kind of agreement, sign back and forth, whatever they are looking for. We had some compromise and everything, but finally we had, I think, August 12th signing ceremony. It was beautiful, everybody liked it, particularly this performing arts, amazing, everybody loved. So they want to do a lot of programs on that performing arts. And I'm working actually at least 4 different programs for this year. September 10th, October 7th, October 8th, and November 11th. So on September, October, that's Indian folk dance. That's the first time we're doing in the campus, in a gymnasium. So it's a beautiful event. I think we are anticipating maybe 50 to 2,000 people. So they will see also opportunity to see the campus and the one I'm working on, the 11th or whatever date available for performing arts is called TIE organization, which is entrepreneurship on mentoring. There's a big organization. They have chapter all over the country, 32 different countries and everything. So they have the, startup, technology, all kind of stuff they're doing, and they're doing a great job raising money and everything. And they want to do the program here, so I'm working with them to bring in, and that also another big opportunity for our campus foundation to raise the money. So there's a lot of things I'm working back and forth. Of course, Martha just told me, oh, you haven't called me for a week, what happened? It's like every day talking. But I think it's working out, everybody is helping, everybody is doing great job. And that's the reason this campus and doing that, and of course, Dr. PR is always there, anytime I call or any of my events or anything, is always supporting, and that's a great for the community to outreach this kind of thing, so people think, oh yeah, he comes, he invited, he honored to be there and all that stuff. So I think that's a great way we participate in the community, aware of the campus, because what we have, believe me, a lot of people don't. The neighboring doesn't know what we have to offer in the campus. When we're telling we have about 22,000, 24,000 student, people surprised. Is it that big, the college campus? But that's the reality, but that's why we need to put the word on the street that this is a great campus. Come and, enrollment, what you see now increasing, we need to increase more. That's what we need to work on, and scholarship and all of that stuff. So I think looks like this year we're doing great.
Thank you very much. I attended the August 12th peace celebration. It was amazing. I wish more people attended, so I look forward to the next
That's a
events.
So I think everybody can
It was very colorful, and we get to meet a lot of the donors.
Yes.
Thank you for all your hard work.
Carol, could you send us those dates in writing?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, perfect, thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, our next one is Take a Seat campaign.
Yes, I'll start, and then Jason and Martha are gonna chime in. So we did I'll call it a soft launch of this campaign last month at the grand opening of the Performing Arts Center. So basically, we started a campaign where people can get a seat plaque, engraved seat plaque for the new Performing Arts Center theater. We have about 300 seats to sell, plus the private boxes that you've seen off to the side and the balcony. So we, again, we've been soft launch. Huge thanks to Tom and Marie, who purchased one of the private boxes, and Jeannie and Bob after the grand opening. We'd love it if you could help get the word out about this. We're going to be doing an internal campaign where faculty and staff can give through payroll deduction and spread it out over 1 to 2 years, $50 to $100 a month. And then we're Paramal and Yogi Talbot assisting. We'll be assisting with some outreach, and we'll be looking for other assistance with that. Go ahead, Martha or Jason.
Yeah, so we've been discussing, how we want to be sure that it's a successful campaign. And as Carol mentioned, we want to do we have an internal strategy to make sure that, we actually have the support of faculty and administrators. And the other part, engaging our partners through an external strategy. And of course, Paramount is critical to this as well as all of you. And I know just
No, just the last mention I'll say is, share with your friends, share with your community. We have 300 seats available, obviously, and it's a great opportunity to put your name on history, right, really? And so, whether you yourself, I'll encourage you, or your friends or family, folks that you know, it's a beautiful center haven't been inside yet, and it's just a really neat opportunity to do so.
It's kind of flyers.
Yeah.
We can think with you.
Yeah, and we can customize too, any materials. I think I mentioned that in an email. So, you know, if you want one, we're working with Mars Printing down the street and they're really good to us, but we can, super fast. Anyway, but we can customize. So if you want one like for your local community or an organization you're involved in that lists you as a contact, for example, or we're happy to do all of that. Just to talk a little bit more. So part of the reason that we're doing this is that we're hoping to create a fund that will expand scholarships for students in the performing arts fields, as well as a programming fund, where we'll be partnering. We've talked a lot with Dean Gary Pritchard about what we could do in that area. So to do more, to do community-based programming beyond what might be available through the college budget. And this would be part of it, is through the Take a Seat campaign. Our rough numbers show we could raise $350,000 to $400,000. But in addition to that, Martha and I are working on naming opportunities for some of the classroom and lab spaces where if we get corporate donors or individuals who put their names on things, then that can be added to those funds and increase that to a level where we could provide a significant amount of support. Questions about that or comments?
As always. The best addition I could have for the brochure is what the season's going to be like, or is there a season? Or first question I get is, well, what shows are going to be there? And the answer is
No, it's a really good question. And we had a lot of conversation with Gary Pritchard, and I'll be honest, Gary would have probably rather we held off a bit until he had a full schedule in place, but we wanted to.
Yeah, so there are, this fall, we're gonna have two big events, but the actual performances, I think, will begin next year. I think the spring semester. So two events are gonna be, we were able to secure a couple of grand pianos. We have a partnership with Yamaha. So we are hoping to bring a couple of Yamaha artists and open the Performing Arts Center for the community and the campus to be able to listen to these artists and obviously to the grand pianos. And that's going to be one of our first events. And at the end of the year, we are going to have a very large production of Frida. That has been a sold out production. Frida Kahlo, Frida sold out production. This time it's going to be translated to English because the last couple of times have been in Spanish. So a lot of the audience requested to have it in English to be able to follow the play closer. So that is going to be a very, very large play that is going to be run a couple of nights, bringing people from actually all over LA County. And the schedule of performances, student performances, should be coming out for the spring semester. The second part of this is having the opportunity to partner with local cities to bring shows, community shows to campus. Not as large as what we have at the Cerritos Performing Arts Center. For the smaller plays, they can be run toward campus. So that is also part of the conversation. And an important component of the future of the Performing Arts Center is to be able to actually bring the community on campus. The facility is outfitted with the latest and greatest, which is great for teaching. But I think if we don't bring the community into campus, it's a missed opportunity to be able to integrate college with the community and open the arts across all regions.
And we're very interested that as a foundation too, we can sponsor events and hold events in there, whether there might be a guest speaker or lecture. The event that Paramal mentioned, the October 1st Peace Center event, with, again, the idea is to bring the whole community together to hear about leaders in peace and in unity and nonviolence. And we'll be doing some of those throughout the year, but we'd also, you know, as we start to think about that too, as a team and as a board, the types of events we can do when we can go out and seek sponsorships to offset the costs of that and bring the community to campus. So the Frida event that Dr. Fierro mentioned will be, as soon as the budget gets firmed up a little bit more and the dates, we'll be working on seeking hopefully corporate sponsors who again will offset the production costs of doing that and making it accessible to everybody. So we've had a number of conversations with Froylan and Dr. Pritchard about that. Jamie, did you have a question?
Mine was the same as Bob's schedule.
Great idea. Thank you so much. Lastly, our golf classic.
Jesse's not here, so Jason will.
I'll provide the report for Jesse. But if you haven't met you in person, you're Jason Buckett, Alumni Relations Officer. It's my second meeting there, so happy to be here. Our golf classic, 37th annual golf classic will go on this year, October 27th at the California Country Club. So it's a new venue we're trying out this year. We're excited about it. So far, we've secured $53,000 in sponsorship. So I think we're on pace to at least match what we were the year before. I'm happy to say that we've been able to bring up a couple new donors, although most of our, I have to thank Tilden Foilway is not here, but Tilden, of course, and their vendors are always really our major sponsors, and they've been great partners. The golf committee and myself and Carol, we've been working together. We just met yesterday. There's a series of new bids that just obviously took place, and so those asks are out there right now with a lot of the folks that do wonderful work here at Cerritos, who normally love to play at our tournament, and we expect them to be back again this year. Outside of that, I know Downey Federal Credit Union just secured also to be part of our tournament, as well as Gardenia Coffee, who's been a longtime partner of the college in various ways, but they've also decided to support us financially for the golf tournament as well. So we're, aside from just not leaning on the sponsorships that we normally had in the past with the vendors and that we work with.
It's
In securing just new sponsorships, new partners, new players, and so that's really the overall report. At this moment right now, we're about 9 weeks out.
You want to mention the Lexus?
Yeah, that's so we normally have a hole-in-one sponsor, and we've had Downey Nissan and what have you in the past. But Lexus actually approached us, and Lexus from a corporate level. They have this program. I'm going to give you the 30-second version. This national program where they partner with local Lexus dealerships and allow the Lexus dealerships, our local one would be Lexus Cerritos, of course, to pick a foundation, a charity, any golf tournament in their community that they would like to partner with. And Lexus Cerritos said Cerritos College. And so they called us up, and they have this wonderful program where they are offering this weekend at Pebble Beach in December, 3 days, all expenses paid. You play in this championship level tournament. It's yeah, it looks like Dr. Girl is ready to go. We have our first bidder.
I don't even got to play.
You can still bid it. You can still bid it. And so the neat thing about this is that at the tournament, and it's all run by this third party that works with Lexus, we will be bidding. The bidding will happen at the dinner portion of the golf tournament. And my understanding is that these bids will start, it's a value of $6,500, and they've seen this go for as much as $10,000. What does that mean for Cerritos? For the foundation, we get everything of what that bid goes for. So the really neat thing is we get a couple $1,000s, let's say, for our automotive sponsor. Here we're guaranteed at least $7,000 from Lexus just for doing this. And then they bring the vehicles and all that, and they're just really trying to market hard, is what they're saying. This is a marketing initiative throughout the country they're doing, but we could gain as much as $10,000 or so from what they're telling us. So that's exciting. It's an exciting new partnership. So yeah, we'll have more details as we get closer to the tournament of what that looks like. But
Jason, anyway, we can send emails out regarding the event, just to refresh.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'll make sure this group, and I'll work with Carol on other lists and we should, yeah, right. Absolutely.
Sounds exciting.
Yeah.
And I'm glad in October, that's gonna be nice and cool.
Yes.
Yeah. Wonderful, thank you. All right, moving on to planning for 2022-2023 fiscal year.
I'm gonna add just a couple of quick things too on golf. Well, as part of what we'll send out, of course, we have opportunities for key sign sponsorships, and you're all welcome, if you don't golf, to purchase tickets for dinner separately. I think they're $40. So we need to,
And we have T-sign sponsorships for 170. Thank you, Carol, for bringing that up. A lot of families do this, small businesses. So again, absolutely. And I'll send the email out to get you, so you have all of that. Then I'll take more time in the meeting going through the sponsorship levels. But thank you, Carol. Yes, we have definitely a lot of room for folks to participate and partner with us.
yeah, and we're working on auction items. We always have the silent auction.
Carol, you also
I was emailing with Carol this week saying, do you want individual golfers or you don't? And so there is room for them, right? Individual golfers.
That's a great question. That's something we've been talking to the golf committee with. And so at the moment, right now, we are not registering individual
Or you're not,
golfers.
okay.
So we're sticking to the model that we've used over the last 3 years now, of corporate sponsors really filling up our golf slots. And I'll be very transparent about that. The foundation has been really successful over several years, more successful than local, than other, and Martha knows this too, have been involved in other golf tournaments in securing funds. And at the end of the day, it is a fundraiser. And we do a really great job. I say we, but really before me, of not only filling, even though we don't sell out completely the 144 golfers, but even at 100 golfers, we do much better than other foundations do, just by allowing the foursomes with our $3,000 level. So our fear would be, and I'll wrap it up, would be that we would undervalue their corporate sponsorship and their foursome at this time with individual opportunities. All that to say is, once October hits, I think the decision we've made as a committee is that 30 days in, we'll look at our roster and then we'll allow for individual golfers, and I'm sure there will be slots available. It's just it's
Yeah, well,
we're
that
trying
makes
to
total
be
sense.
strategic. So, but thank you for asking that. That has come up. Thank you.
Great. All right, this is going.
So planning, I just want to say a couple things and you may want to say something similar. So I know, we know there's a lot of interest in a board retreat and I need to send out some dates. So I've been gathering those partly with Dr. Piero's calendar. I think it would be helpful to do just a little read of the room about the idea of a Saturday, a weekend date versus a Friday, for example. And I went to a research retreat on Thursday, and that seemed to work well as well. But just in terms of narrowing down things for a poll, are there just opinions anyone would like to throw out about just timing in terms of a weekday versus weekend?
The driver for me, as far as timing, is what's the focus? Time was spent crystallizing what the purpose of the retreat would be. Then I could make whatever day available.
Okay, okay.
Secondary.
All right. Okay.
I'm good either way. We can do, I think a lot of people like weekends, especially if they are working, so maybe we can do a Saturday. Does Saturday work for everybody?
Depends on the
Depends on the
Saturday, yeah.
Yeah, so that's gonna be.
So we're looking at dates toward the end of September and then into October.
What would you like to see at the retreat? Can we get some opinions of if we do the retreat? What would you like to discuss?
So one thing is I would like some opportunity for our team, now that we have a team, to talk about some of our ideas and work with you to flesh out some of those ideas. I think, Marissa brought up something that we've really been trying to key in now, and that is on getting to know the different departments and what the needs are of the departments and looking at it holistically in terms of alumni within different areas and grant related needs that we might be able to support and other types of things that are outside the college budget or ideas and hopes and dreams about how we could expand together. So we could give, for example, an update, but also as a team work on how we might flesh that out with your ideas of how we really focus on unmet needs here and how we could grow. I'd also like to spend some time talking about revenue generating strategies that are beyond fundraising. We've talked about a lot of colleges do swap meets, but it's not necessarily an option here, or other types of things that would provide a revenue stream for our operating budget. Those are two things. We have talked to a consultant who could come in for part of the day to do some general things. I do want to make sure, and one thing that came up before we'll come back to is that there was some general feeling that the board should just spend some time outside of this sort of very this kind of setting, getting to know each other better and talking about why you're here, what other boards you're involved in, some of your personal interests, and just get a chance to get to know each other.
Absolutely. I think it's a must. Yes.
Obviously, I know the retreat is to plan ahead and so on, but I think it will be important to get a recap of what the board has accomplished. So there is an opportunity to recognize and celebrate what it has been accomplished, because the foundation over the last few years, several years have been as productive as ever been. The amount of dollars that have been raised, events, programs that have been supported is the highest level as we have in a few years. And I think it is important to recognize what has been done, historic perspective or where we were and the progress that has been made, because it's easy to forget, the last year we raised over $1 million in different things, because now we're invested on raising another and so on and so forth. So I think it's important to go back and get some of the steps that have been accomplished, recognize some of the work that has been done, and build upon that success. So I don't, obviously we don't need enough, but I don't think there has been an opportunity to really highlight how productive the foundation has been over the last 4 or 5 years or something like that. I mean, I think the records, the numbers, you can cite in are easily forgotten, because then like today, you said, we raised $250,000. So we look at that number rather than the entire spectrum and how we got here. So a little bit of that time to highlight and recognize and kind of build on that success. Absolutely.
So just to piggyback on that, related to that, one of the things we've been talking about and looking at, and I think it was an idea that Nazi brought up a couple board meetings ago, is sometimes it's sound like things just magically happen and we don't provide a lot of the backstory, but there was interest in setting up, whether it's part of the retreat or separate things, just some short workshops or discussions on topics like, how do you set up a scholarship? What are the different types of plan gifts or estate planning that we can do? Tom loves to talk about, year-end contributions and charitable distributions and how all that works, but to be able to explain that and do some things both so that the board understands some of those basic fundamentals of fundraising enough so that if you can answer questions as you're out and about in the community, and we should all know how to set up a scholarship. And we're still working out some of those processes, but some of those could be part of a retreat. Some of it may be too dense content that will be better split out over the year to do it. And I also think an aspect of it is just as a board member, how do I get involved in fundraising? Maybe I'm not the person who wants to ask someone for a gift, but if we could work with you better and explain a little better, and maybe with Paramount's help, because he's really good at it, just talk about what are those things you say or those steps you take to just get somebody to connect with our staff and come over for a tour of campus, for example. If we could just accomplish some of those basics and get more comfortable with it.
Taking a step back from that, I'd like to hear consultant be part, talking about the 10,000 feet, overview of a foundation, what it does, educational foundation,
Yes,
traditional activities and so on. I think there's a lot of new folks on the foundation. Just a fairly brief overview would be nice.
That'll be great. Yeah.
What I would like to see, and I think that we miss opportunities here. For example, I'm thinking of the art gallery program that you have going on that we attended. There's opportunities on campus that are happening, and how do we get the word out to people? How can the foundation say, hey, look what we're doing here, or do at the golf tournament, here we are, folks, join us, or join us for dinner. Just a lot more engaging and interactive. I don't think that really happens. And you have some folks that are really strong in community who can do it by word of mouth and which is wonderful. But I think there's, people are tied up as well. And when they can look, say, hey, what's Cerritos doing? What's the foundation doing? Just to highlight, showcase the gallery or the event. I was on vacation on August 12th, but I would love to have seen something on that. I did, So how do we we need to be more, I think, engaged, more active, kind of talk about it, and we do it in a lot of newspapers and some individuals, but there's got to be a better way in terms of technology to get stuff out fast, and even if it's like a 2-minute, this is what we're doing, it's what our students are doing. I think just need to do more of that.
No, Carol, to add to what Dr. Spear said, that to recognize the contributors and the donors, to appreciate that sometimes in our communities, we do appreciation dinners or some kind of program, and that brings in more donors. And to set a goal for the next year and different ways to achieve our goals, that would be very helpful to progress.
No, it's very helpful. And it's a great point. We haven't really gone into a year. We've been doing well, but we haven't gone into a year saying, I guess I say some things to you. And he, gives me goals, but then he'll say, let's raise, X amount. And I'll say, oh, I think we can do twice that. And yeah. But as a team, if we really look at the numbers too, then we understand. Yes. And I agree, we haven't done we've been a little short staffed and it's been a pandemic, but we haven't done a donor appreciation event since the pandemic. It's very good. Yeah.
So we'll come up with a master calendar.
Yes.
And some ideas. Jean?
I just think as a whole, kind of tacking under what Stephanie said, I don't think the community knows all the good things that go on here. I don't think I know all the good things that go on here, and I live right across the street. So if we could, I don't know if somehow we could each connect with a certain department so that we're aware and we bring that information to share. Just a beginning thought.
That's a great
You know,
idea.
Jean, to add to your idea, it's excellent to have maybe a cheat sheet or some kind of small flyer, what we do, how we help the community. And
It's the donors.
get everyone. And those who are not donors, they will become donors, absolutely. So to spread the word around. we
They
have
see
to
all the
find
good
different-
work we do.
Exactly.
So. Oh, sorry, sorry.
Can add the one there, I think whatever the department doing the job for like arts or anything. Maybe that translate, here we have a lot of local chambers, so we can send it out that, here is the stuff is happening in the campus. So that means somebody on that things and we can be grow from there, raising the whole stuff. That's another way to approach for all the different chambers here. They're very active, a lot of chambers.
Yeah, so recently on the college side, and I would suggest to do something similar on the foundation side, prepare the two of those. We developed key milestones that we have accomplished over the last 5 or 7 years. I think so. The bigger pieces that we have done, we compiled them all together, and we have been distributing that. Maybe at a faster pace, and we should do it. But we have been distributing that to kind of show getting to a point of being where we are and how the college is functioning has taken different steps and take the opportunity to celebrate that, because a lot of people have been involved in that. And I know at the foundation, there have been milestones that we have tracked. Maybe we should put in a pamphlet or something like that to pair the two, because I will say all of those milestones actually support a lot of the initiatives on campus. And it will be important to highlight and recognize those pieces as a part of communication. The other part of that, we are expanding our community outreach. I don't want to give you additional work, Andrea, but since I see you here, we have been expanding our community outreach, and part of that is community relations, government relations, in a more active role, not just at the state level, but at the local community. So we're putting information that can be, packaged and delivered in 5 minutes or less about the college, the good things that are happening and so on. So we can have some of that information, Andrea, with Tony and Martha, to disseminate for all the board members, because it isn't necessarily a sales pitch. This is what's happening at Cerritos College, this is what we're doing, and this is where we're going. And we have been recognizing that after the pandemic, a lot more of that information needs to go out. And the last piece is on recognition and cultivation. We have done really well, but I think we need to become more proactive on sending thank yous consistently to our donors and supporters. One, to continue to reestablish that connection, and two, because that leads to additional donation and contributions.
All donors, not just your large,
Yeah.
but it's really, that's your support, your local support, or your donors that are in the area. The other is going back to the, the written documents and everything, that's all really good. But as most of us know, to read a brochure or anything is kind of like, don't always have time for that, maybe this group does. But for the most part, it's gotta get out quick, and so I'm thinking of like Instagram, but maybe there's other ways to do it. But it's like a 2-minute read, it's like, oh, cool, they're doing this out at Cerritos. It's just gotta be a lot more.
Yeah.
Faster, move
Maybe
faster.
quick video, 30-second video that
Absolutely.
we can put on Instagram,
Exactly.
on Facebook,
Exactly.
send it out into the email.
Yeah, real quick.
Yeah, and I think Jason and I, been talking about some strategies, but we can work on that too. If we can work with folks at the college to compile, like you said, those upcoming activities and hear about them enough in advance that we can put them together and shoot them out in a weekly.
Sometimes they're
Newsletter.
not even in advance. If
Yeah.
there's something that's going on and it's,
No, that's a
full
good point.
activity.
Sometimes we feel like, oh, it's too late. to
Yeah,
figure it out.
yeah, we're kind of like behind.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
if we can, and I know it requires staff, but
Mhm.
just kind of get into that mindset.
Great ideas, great ideas. I mean,
I think something that could tie much of this together would be a donor appreciation event in the theater in the spring sometime. You can talk about what's the past, what's the future. You could definitely honor some of the large donors we've had and smaller donors too. I think it's a real strong possibility for success.
so I'm excited about the retreat. I think we have so much to discuss.
Yeah.
and so many ideas.
Yes.
We need it sooner than later.
Yes.
We'll send an email tomorrow.
Yes, we just need to circle back. on
Why
calendar
don't
and see.
I think Carol has enough on her plate.
I think actually now that once we get through this meeting, yes, we'll have.
Awesome.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody, for your feedback today. Thank you. All right, financial matters, update on new gifts, grants, and budgets.
Frankly, this is a little bit of putting the good news before the bad news. So there is a handout. I won't run through everything that's in the packet, but I always like to include some of the recent highlights of larger gifts we've received. And Paramount told you a little bit about the Peace Center. Again, the number of donors who are contributing, and that was really spearheaded by a donor named Ela Meta and her husband and a larger group, and Dr. Shaw helped from Paramount of projects that's grown, and they did an event on August 12th, excuse me, and actually did a live ask in the room as well. And we haven't done a lot of live asks during events outside of the golf outing, but it was very successful. And Neil, thank you so much for contributing. But we're having a lot of success. We've had some other grants come in since the year. So over the last 2 months, we've brought in well over $300,000. Martha's been working with a lot of donors. We've got some other strong prospects where we're just developing the gift agreements with them and so on. And I think I don't think, unless if you have any questions about anything that's listed there, but otherwise, that's it. One thing that's been noteworthy is we have certain grants that we receive every year, the Pritzker Foundation, John Burton Advocates for Youth, and several of them are increasing the level of support. And maybe that's been one of the semi-positive outcomes of the pandemic. Well, that's my report. The team, we're hard at work and a lot of balls in the air. And
Carol, the August 12th event, the piece of that, how much did we?
Martha, do you remember what the pledge amount was from August?
Yes, it was just under 14,000, 13,700 something rather.
In addition to the 100.
In addition, yeah.
Yes.
That's amazing.
That's a lot when they do that.
That was a lot, yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Sean. That's amazing. It was a great event, wonderful. I was so happy to attend. Musical, when we lit the candles and it was beautiful.
That's what we're looking for October 1st.
Yeah,
October 1st will be much more. Elegant, yeah.
I'll make sure I'm here.
Yes, and we'll get word out about the October 1st as soon as
Being
we got a big committee and as soon as things firm up a little bit more. On the
Being
timeline.
on Saturday, you have much more wider participation. And this event we usually do every year for last 15 years at my temple in Jain Center of California in Buena Park. And this time we will have, over there, we used to have 500, 600 members every year. We have more here. Yeah, we will have more.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
Yeah, food was great, music was amazing.
Thank you.
Financial reports, P and L, at the end of June, is that the bad news?
Yeah, so, I'll start and then, yeah, I've been saying for the last at least 2 or 3 board meetings, that although things were looking good, that it wasn't, the finances were not gonna look as rosy as we got toward the end of the year, so I don't know if that's good news, I was right. Our investments did not perform well in this last quarter of the year. April and June were especially hard hit, May was actually okay. And you'll see that reflected. What's in the packet is not our we haven't closed the books yet for June. We had a couple of temporary bookkeepers during the year. Paulina, who's a former bookkeeper, still helping us on a contracted basis with some things. Crystal's still new, so we're working back through the books, and there'll be some adjustments. The numbers here show what's in our QuickBooks file, but there'll be some adjustments that'll hopefully improve the way the year end is a little bit. But a couple of things I just wanted to say. So investments did not do well in the final quarter. However, in the month of July, our investments gained $330,000. And that just shows you what's happening with the market right now. Like this month, so far, it's a little bit not at the 330, but that's what's happening. But look, so a lot of ground was recovered in July for now. The other thing I wanted to say is toward the end of the year, we had a lot of major funding requests that we were able to meet to support things at the college. So I've mentioned Dr. Carroll mentioned the pianos that came through the Connie Mayfield gift. We also provided a significant amount of support to the theater for some things that were outside the college budget. They needed some external storage units, for example, and that was fundamental to being able to clean up some things so that instruction could happen in classrooms that are being used for storage. And so we spent a lot of money supporting that, as well as some needs that athletics have that were outside the budget. So we spent more money than we ever had, but we did spend it to support things at the college that were important. It does look as though we're going to actually end the year in a deficit, though, for the first time after years and years of significant growth. I mean, I don't know what will happen with investments, but from a fundraising perspective and working with donors, I think we're going to have the best year ever this year. I think it's going to be a phenomenal year, but I wish I knew what would happen with the investments. The Finance Investment Committee chaired by Anil, will be sitting down with Merrill Lynch for just an annual review. Merrill Lynch has made some adjustments to our investment strategy during the year. We would certainly welcome, we lost Giovanni from the board, who was a very active member of that committee, and we would certainly welcome anyone who's very interested in the finance and investments, both the policy setting and just talking in depth to join that committee. But I would entertain any questions or comments you have on the financials.
Any questions? Okay.
Carol, you mentioned a deficit. You're talking about a deficit based on the return on investment or a deficit based on our expenses and revenue?
So if you look at the profit and loss statement,
Page one.
it's about halfway through the report, halfway through after the
First page of the numbers.
after the report on the new gifts and pledges. And you look at income, and again, these aren't final numbers, but just to give you some sense of it. So you see that that the income over the year was a little over $1.3 million, which is good. So, but then when you look at expenses and the way that it reaches the bottom line on the next page, you'll see how much investment loss has impacted it. The fair market gains or losses were over $900,000. As of right now, again, there may be some adjustments.
Yeah, but again, when we begin the year, we begin with a budget based on what we are going to spend for revenues And at the end of the year, the idea will be to match or revenue without expenses. Are we talking about that we spend more than what we brought in based on our last year budget? Are we talking about losses in our investment? Because those are very different pieces.
Mhm. We brought in more than we spent. We did the operating budget that we presented at the end of the year, we spent about 25% under on our operating budget in terms of other expenses to support the college. We had some things that were unanticipated, some of the theater expenses and so on, but couldn't be pushed into the next year. We had some increases even in economic development salary expenses, for example, which we reimbursed the district for. But at the end of the day, if you look at the way the profit and loss came, we did bring in more income outside of investment revenues than expenses.
So am I hearing correctly? You are coming under budget, not on deficit. And I'm asking because they're two completely different things that
Right,
require
right.
two completely different steps. So one, if we are not having a good year in investments, which is everyone that has money in the market at this particular time of the year, that is obviously expected on market performance. If what we are talking about is where we are overspending, therefore we are in deficit, that is a very different conversation about that.
We didn't overspend. I wish that our investments could have been, or I wish our expenses had been less, but in this year, I don't know what I could have done or what we could have done differently in that. So as we go into this next year, we set projections, the numbers will look very different in terms of income versus expenses. But yes, if you look at the loss and what the bottom line was, it's investments. It was investment.
Carol, I think like it's okay that, that you have expenses under your operating. That's okay. That's, just maybe I like apologize for that. That's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
But a good point is like, there's two very different conversations going on.
Right.
That's what the money's for, you're operating, and then you have investments and everyone is having those experiences. So that's,
Yeah.
just to make.
Yeah, it's just for me, like, it really does feel like a loss, I'll be honest with you. Like, we've never gone into an audit, with this, certain amount of time I've been here, like, we've had these glowing reviews and while other nonprofits were suffering, we were thriving, and so, we don't know yet. I've talked to the auditors a little bit, but if this is what we're gonna see across the board with nonprofit organizations. It was a year where we didn't, we've been fortunate to receive large planned gifts too for the last couple of years, and that isn't going to happen necessarily every year. So that we've had years where our income was more like $3 million, and we didn't do that this year. Martha came on board around Thanksgiving time, and we very quickly secured a $100,000 gift. But we were a little off. I had hoped that 2 million would really be our fundraising goal for the year, and we didn't hit that. So I'm just trying to be really candid about it.
I understand, but I think as you enter into the conversation with the finance committee, I will suggest that the conversations need to be separate, because the market does what the market does, and obviously if we have a bad investment strategy, we need to correct that separately than our operational budget. If you budget $1 million for the year and you spend 950,000, you are on budget, right? So you're not in deficit. But if our investment strategy needs to be changed, separate conversation, and I will recommend to compare whatever was your initial budget on 2021, compare that with the 21, 22, and present those as two separate items of conversation for the finance committee, so they can be reviewed accordingly, rather than just when you said deficit, the first thing I started to look was whether or not you overspend, and that is not the case. So.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. Go ahead.
I think the nature of the beast is that some years you get a $3 million donation from out of the left sky, and then the next year you get a $30 donation, and that fluctuates, obviously, the bottom line. And what Jose is saying is that for the truth, you gotta somehow delineate or differentiate between all the different factors. I'm not particularly concerned, I'm on more foundations than I can count, and it's very common knowledge that everybody's up and down and mostly down these days. And investment drop is not a surprise.
No, I appreciate you saying that. So part of, for the, just so you know, our current spending strategy out of the invested accounts is that we spend 4% of a 3-year trailing average. And so you'll see reflected, and we're still working on final numbers, but in the scholarship accounts, just to give you a sense of how this impacts us, when the investments are down, the scholarship endowments are pooled together. So if we have about 20 different scholarship accounts, then we keep a table that shows what percentage each of those different scholarships contributes to that total. And then when the market's down, those losses come out of an account that you'll see on the balance sheet called AFD. So like for the Bob Hewlett Scholarship, you'll see an AFD account. So that shows what's happening there in terms of, so the corpus of your endowment staying the same, but the amount that's available for distribution shifts. So we're going through all of those scholarships now because of the end of the year ending in a drop, to make sure that we can still award all those scholarships, or if any of them have gone into a deficit, you'll see there are a couple of scholarships there, the whole amounts for one, that have gone into a deficit. So I'm looking at whether we can move money out of our general scholarship fund to cover those so that we can still award the scholarships in the normal way until the market settles down. So that's some of the direct sort of implications of that downturn.
Any other questions? Carol, I have one quick question. The economic development expenses, that's the biggest expense we have. What do we consist of?
So economic development as a natural flow of income and expenses. They hire trainers to provide classes, and then they get into contracts with businesses, and the businesses pay more than what we paid the trainer to provide the class. And then, so that's most of that's the expenses plus the salaries and benefits for the 3 employees of economic development. So we send checks periodically to the district to offset the cost of the salaries and benefits of those employees. So the 3 together are around $275,000, I think, so that's where the bulk of that comes from.
Great, thank you so much. All right, any other questions on the subject? Yes, Tom.
I would like to introduce the guest today, Ashish. Can you tell us a little bit about your background?
My background, I think I graduated Cerritos College here in 1995. Dean's List. Dr. Gaskin was the president then, and Tom Jackson was my advisor. Then multiple businesses, and now I'm in finance. So that's the brief of it. I think that's what you wanted to say.
Yeah.
This is my first, I'm just listening to you guys, and I want to make one comment. You know, this college gave me a very, very, very good education and very good foundation, right? But it hurts to me to see that we are still considered second grade of higher education, not the first option. And I think we should be considered the first option. So we need to have a little bit more outreach into communities, like we were saying, and into high schools and school boards, and let the students know and the parents know that it's more affordable and a better education here than going off to Cal State or UC in the first 2 years. I was blessed to be here. I developed so much here. I developed my leadership skills here. I've used that for the last 20, 30, 40 years, or whatever I've learned here. Right? And I think that's the challenge, and that's what we dropped the ball there. That we were still considered, we consider ourselves in the community college as saying, oh, well, you know, if you don't get into a 4-year college, you can go. That should never be the case. It should be come here first, then go to 4-year college, because you'll spend a lot more money there and we'll give you better one-on-one education here with better one-on-one
coaching.
Coaching, absolutely, that's the word missing. So, and I've taught my daughters that they are prohibited to go to four-year college. I told them, I said, you're not, and you're not taking the student debt. Say, you go get work, go to community college, I did the same thing, my brother-in-law did the same thing. My wife did the same thing. I met my wife here, actually, as a matter of fact. So that should be the goal. I think we should all be focused on how do we educate the parents that this is the best option. And I mean, I've never seen, in 20 years I've lived in Cerritos, I've never seen a Cerritos college booth anywhere. I've done many events, I've been to many events. I've never seen a Cerritos college booth, or even like say, AGS or PTK, or, you know, all these different clubs that we have at the school. We develop leaders here. Why are we hiding? What are we hiding behind? Why are we ashamed of this? You know, why are we still sitting class? That's just my opinion. I just wanted to say that to you, but thank you to this college for giving me what it's gave me. Especially my wife and my two beautiful kids.
Thank you, Ashley.
Thank you, sir.
Good to know.
Thank you, Tom, for inviting me. I appreciate you a lot.
Ashish was a student of mine, and he was also very active in Alpha Gamma Sigma, and was the founding member of the Beta Alpha Beta chapter of Phi Beta Kappa. And he a successful business owner of 6 subways.
Fortunately, at one time, I've sold them all, as a matter of fact, June 28th was my last.
Yeah.
I'm done with that one. Become too corporate, it's no more fun. I got it, I get into business. One of the things, like, I'll be very honest with you, I'm not a very good employee. I mean, I just never was a very good employee, could never work for anybody because just, I'm too independent. Right, so I got into subway business, I thought, hey, it's gonna be fun, let's get this there. And I grew the brand, and when I first got into it, it was only about 4,000 stores. Right, and now it's like 20, 30, 40,000 stores out there, but it's not fun anymore. So I just said, you know, I move on to the better things. And I ran into Tom again, and he was like, why don't you come over? Yeah, no. Thank you.
Also for lunch sponsors now.
You know what? I still have some contacts at Subway Corporate. If you guys want to know something or want something, I can get you in touch with the corporate. And hit me up quick, because about a year from now, nobody will remember who I am.
Oh, they still like.
Yeah, you know what? I don't know. Like, you know, I'm still in good terms with these people.
Right. Thank you, Ashley. Thank you. Thank you.
It's been how many years? And I still in contact with you.
Right, absolutely. No, I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about the corporate people, they have very short memory. They're like, who are you again? I'm like, yeah.
All right, thank you, sir. Balance sheet, you want to discuss that real quick, or
It's really unless anybody has
any questions about balance sheet? We'll move on. Okay, perfect. Lastly, upcoming key dates. We got October 1st, the Peace Center International Day. Everybody knows about it already. Hopefully we'll see everybody there. October 27th, we're excited with the Golf Classic, and any information you can send us will be great. November 3rd is the next foundation board meeting. Hopefully everybody will be here in person.
Yes, so I want to point out, we did have to move the board meeting because the golf outing ended up in the date of the next board meeting. So we'll send something out. And if it doesn't sound like we can get a quorum, then we'll reschedule.
And that will be our last one for the year.
Well, we have a December meeting on the calendar. It just didn't squeeze
That's
under the button.
Okay.
We might make that into more of a holiday get together. That'll be fun.
Just a quick comment that October 1st Peace Center, now the Peace Center is established for like peace in the world, and Mahatma Gandhi, as you know, he was the biggest proponent of peace. And October 2nd is his birthday, and usually we do it on October 2nd, but because of some other reasons, now we are doing on, this time we are doing on October 1st. So just for you know.
Wonderful, wonderful. Looking forward to it. All right, we're adjourned unless anybody has any questions. Great. Thank you all for the meeting today. Ashish, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you very much.